It feels like California out there, but we're going to come back and we're going to rewatch, we're going to keep watching, rather, our John Dillinger series. That's just in a few minutes.
Welcome back to Up North at 4 and our How We Got Here series. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, or for those of you who just want a refresher, I'm talking with Kay Kranz from the Manitowish Waters Historical Society about John Dillinger and his experience in Manitowish Waters in the Northwoods. So yesterday we talked about his arrival at Little Bohemia restaurant in Manitowish Waters, and the owners, the operators of Little Bohemia, were just able to send a letter to authorities about John Dillinger and his gang being at Little Bohemia. So that's where we are now. There's a party going on, so Kate Kranz, take us away from there.
Okay, well, back at the birthday party, Nan is constantly running this scenario through her mind that she's got the John Dillinger gang staying in her lodge. And she says, should I tell my family? Should I not tell my family? What is the town saying? You know, we have this party line where people can be talking. The lodge is open to the public. We got 10 people in fancy city clothes. What are they saying? She finally decides, after the birthday presents for Cal Laporte have been opened and the little boys are playing, she brings together Henry and Ruth Voss. Ruth is her sister. They own Voss's Birchwood Lodge, a very famous resort in Spider Lake, Wisconsin at the time, which is today Manitowish Waters. Her brother, George Laporte, who is a grocery owner and a guide, and other relatives. And she says, look, John Dillinger is staying at our place. We've managed to get a letter out to the authorities, but if something goes wrong and we need help right away, what should we do? And the family devises a plan. George and Lloyd Laporte are going to stop in periodically. Now remember, this is Saturday night. The gang has arrived on Friday evening. They're supposed to leave on Monday morning. So we've got Sunday and Monday morning to deal with, pretty much is all that's left. Well, Nan decides to leave Emil, her son, who's 8 years old, with family and friends for the rest of the time. She goes back to the lodge. We don't know what she tells Emil or if she talks to Emil about the situation, but we do know that she is very terrified. And that night, she doesn't sleep again because there's that constant pacing back and forth all night long. And you know it's gang members who are watching to see if anything's going to happen. And she wakes up in the morning and she's just had it. So Lloyd and George Laporte take turns stopping by and saying, hey, sis, how are you doing? And at one point, George stops in the afternoon. Well, it's about 10:30 in the morning, I'd say. And he says, sis, have you got a cigarette? I forgot mine. And she said, oh, George, just take the whole pack. We've got plenty. So George takes the pack, visits for a while, walks out the door into the car, and there's the note, get help. We need help now. So he rushes over in his car to Voss's Birchwood Lodge. And at Voss's Birchwood Lodge, Henry Voss is then enabled to get in his car and drive to the famous Rhinelander, Wisconsin. He can't call from Spider Lake. He can't call from anywhere close. He's afraid to. He's even afraid when he calls the authorities, he's afraid to say the word Dillinger. He just says, the man you want most, public enemy number one, I know where you can find him. And he's quizzed on the phone and he seems like a reliable source. And so the Bureau of Investigation FBI agent calls his boss in Chicago, Melvin Purvis. Melvin Purvis thinks it's legit. He calls his boss, J. Edgar Hoover in Washington, D.C. Now, the FBI wants to make a name for itself. It's tired of losing with Dillinger. Every time they try to capture him, he eludes them. And so they go, well, let's go for this. So they get together 16 men from St. Paul and Chicago, and they commandeer 2 airplanes, one in St. Paul, one in Chicago. And as they get to the airport, both the pilots say, we're not taking tear gas on this plane. Sorry, we don't fly with tear gas. We also don't have enough weight to carry all the bulletproof vests. So some of the agents have to actually drive up. Now it's noon, and Dillinger's leaving Monday morning, and they got to drive all the way from Chicago and St. Paul to northern Wisconsin. So anyways, the airplanes land about 6 at night, the first arrivals. And they begin to look for a man with a red neckerchief on the tarmac. And there he is, Henry Voss. He meets them at the planes. He draws them a crude map, but he leaves off some really important details. That crude map leaves off the fact that there's a really nice incline to the lake that the guys could escape to. He fails to tell him that Shadow and Prince, the dogs at the lodge, bark every time someone drives down the driveway. They fail to tell all these things about the place because it's a rush deal. And maybe the agents think, we don't have to worry about that lake area because it's got black ice on it by April and nobody could cross that lake or go anywhere near it. They're city guys. They haven't been up there. So anyways, they start trying to find cars to rent. They actually rent all their cars in Rhinelander, and one car is a souped up coupe by a family by the name of Tulusky. I don't know if there are any Tuluskys left in Rhinelander, but that car is rented. It goes 103 miles per hour. They get their rental cars, they get on the highway, and two of them go in the ditch because of the icy road conditions. So many of the FBI guys are riding on the running boards in April. Must have been a little chilled in their overcoats.